we're working on the garden right now. So right behind me, you see an area that's got some wood chips down. So basically kind of where I'm standing right now to the end of the wood chips is the length of the garden. I think we just decided the garden was going to be 24 wide by 32.5 long. Behind the garden here is the build site for the shop and garage. And this has been a slow process here because originally this whole area sloped down dramatically. And little by little, as I've had different excavators here, at the end of the day I would start digging from the high area and start moving that dirt down the hill to kind of build it up to decrease the rate of the grade. So now I think it's pretty good. Finally now I have a nice gentle grade from the top of the build site all the way down to the bottom for drainage, to shed water. Another big challenge over there has been just because I dug down below the topsoil, it was just all clay muck. And we actually know, if you've seen a previous video in the drilling the well video, we found out that after about 15 feet of like rock and gravel and sandy silt stuff, it's 150 feet of just clay muck all the way down to bedrock. So as I've dug down here, as I've dug down the high area to move dirt over to do the grade, I've hit a lot of that clay muck and I've brought it up to the surface. So what you're seeing down there, it's basically all that. Now, last year when I did that originally, it was just a shit show. Just couldn't even like ride around in there. I gave it all winter and spring, and now it's settled and compacted, and it's pretty solid. So I just did we got the excavator borrowed from a friend this week, and I did some finishing touches and finished grading it out now that the ground is more solid. So feeling pretty good about that. But it was still muddy in certain areas, and that's why we had to build that up. So we just had a big bonfire to burn all the extra brush we had from clearing more of the build site in the last few weeks. And I didn't even think about this, but luckily when we were burning stuff, I picked up a lot of big rocks. And as they burned and exploded, they broke down to smaller rocks. So I had a buttload of just broken up crushed stone that I was able to use to kind of build up this area where the garden is. And then on top of that, I had a friend start bringing over wood chips. So my plan is to keep putting wood chips down here to build up good drainage and to get above any mucky mud there is. And then as that all settles and compacts, it'll get hard again, and the wood chips will decompose and turn into good soil. So that's the plan for the garden here. So I intend to put some more wood chips as I'm able to get them. So the next thing we're doing here is setting our deer fencing fence posts for the garden. We're doing the layout for the garden for the fence posts. Okay, so we have our back edge of the garden defined here on the north side. So we have that defined with 2 stakes in the ground. So we have that line defined. I need to figure out a right angle here to lay out a side of the garden. So to do that, I'm going to use the 3-4-5 method. I've used this before in construction a million times. So basically, because I'm dealing with like a span of like 24 and 32.5 feet, I am going to double that to 6, 8, 10. And so to do this, I'm going to basically use the line that I've already defined here. So I'm actually just going to pull this all the way. Yeah, those frogs are happy right now for some reason. I don't know what just happened. Okay. So there's our line, back edge. So I'm going to first start with 6 feet. So here is my mark on 6 feet. Boom, center of rock. So now I'm gonna sort of guess what 90 degrees is. Just pull more than 8 feet here. Well,
is about 90 degrees.
Okay. Put another rock at 8 feet. Right there. So now, in one direction we have 6 feet. And now in this direction, going this way, we have 8 feet. The diagonal between those 2 points should equal 10 feet. If it does, that means we have a right angle. So I'm going to measure diagonally from this guy, from that rock to this rock. And let's see. Ooh, that's close. Okay, so we got 10'4". Now this is our 10'5" diagonal from rock to rock. So what we need to do now is make this 10 feet. But at the same time, we also need to stay 8 feet away from that corner fence post on this leg. So in order to do that, we're gonna need to kind of take this tape measure and just swing it out. I'm gonna just guesstimate this. I'm gonna kind of come, I basically know my distance here. I can see my distance from there to there, so I basically just kind of want to move straight down that way and get my 10 feet. So I'm gonna wait till 10 feet lines up basically with where my rock is, going straight that way in line with the back edge of the garden, and just gonna move it right here. So now the center of my rock, from center of one rock to center of the other rock, is exactly 10 feet. We know from that rock to that post is exactly 6 feet. And now we're just going to double check this situation here from that post to this rock and make sure it actually is exactly 8 feet. Okay, there is our 8 feet from this stone to that post. And then from that post over to that rock right there is 8 feet. And then from that rock to that rock to that rock is 10 feet. So we got 6, 8, 10. Okay, so now we're going to pull our 24-foot width from that stake right across our right-angled rock right there, all the way to 24. We're going to put a post in. Okay, so now for the last corner, I'm going to pull 32.5 feet off of this guy for our length. And a half. Oh, right there. Okay, so I just guesstimated that. So now to confirm this location, I'm going to pull 24 feet off the first post that we put in. Where's that rock? Oh, here it is. Oh, wow. Okay. This is the right spot. 24. Okay, so now that's 24. Now that I got 24 from there, I'm going to make sure this is still 32.5. Okay, so yep, 32.5 right here, and we just measured 24 from here. So now we know we got 24 on the width on both sides, and we know we got 32.5 for the length on both sides. All right, so this is our slightly incorrect drawing of the garden layout. These right here are supposed to be 12 feet each, not 11 feet. That's a mistake, but everything else is right. And also, this was going to be a chicken coop, but we're not doing that right now. We're going to build it off separately, not part of the garden. So, what we're doing is now we have our corner posts all set up, staked out, but we need to get our inside posts how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 of them to lay out. So all I'm doing right now is pulling a tape measure across this whole length, and then at 12 feet from here and 12 feet from here, staking that out. Right here, we're going to do one at 12 feet right between these two. And then on the back side, it's slightly different. It's 10 foot 10 from here and 10 foot 10. It's actually 10 foot 10 between all of these. These 3 spaces are 10 foot 10. The reason this is a little bit different is because right here we want to have an 8.5 inch door. So we're going to put the door posts at 8.5 apart, which is going to leave it's going to leave 12 foot here. But on the back, we're going to have to be a little bit less on each of them because we want them to be equidistant. Another. We just dug a 42-inch deep hole, 3.5 feet. The idea is that we're going to have 6 inches of rock at the bottom of the hole, which we already have right here. We have incredibly rocky ground, so we literally can just take rocks from the excavated dirt and just throw it right back into the hole. We want that for drainage. Something I love about the internet so much. I'm putting up videos of how I'm doing stuff, but I'm really just learning a lot of times right off the internet. So I don't even know what website we found it from, but we just read about 5 different websites about how to do fencing posts, and I wanted to do some type of drainage, and this was perfect. We originally were going to put plastic around the post, but after reading a whole bunch of articles on putting in fence posts, nobody mentioned it, so we decided to nix it. But this drainage makes a lot of sense, so that any moisture that settles down alongside the post and settles at the bottom doesn't stay there. It continues to drain below the fence post so that it doesn't rot out the wood. So right now, standing, I'm exactly 3 feet deep from grade, and we want exactly 3 feet of buried post, and the posts are 11 feet tall, so we're going to have 8 feet high for our deer fencing. All right, so we had to dig a big hole because the excavator's got a big bucket. We have to use the excavator because, as you can see, the soil here is riddled with rocks that we can't dig or auger through. So we dug the hole, put a bunch of rocks in for drainage. We're putting the post in, as you can see, and then we just built up rocks around the sides of the post to create makeshift formwork for the concrete, just to hold it while the concrete forms. So I just got some Quickcrete here that's mixed up, and I'm just gonna shovel it into our form. And this is just gonna help stabilize, along with 3 feet of dirt and rock being buried in. This is going to be like an added bonus to further stabilize the post. Now it looks like I'm not going to have nearly enough for the size of that form, but quite honestly, I'm fine with that, because this is just, like I said, this is just an extra bonus. Let's get around from the other side. Probably mix up another half bag, actually. So now we got some dirt filled on top of the rocks and the concrete, and we're going to tamp that in as we, or actually right after we get it level. So, wow, that is like, I don't even see a cloud. That is the weirdest thing. It's a cloudless, sunny thunderstorm.
There's a huge cloud right above us.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, it's very. It's like
a blue cloud.
Okay, so we're getting this thing plumb on this way and this way. So first look in here, we're trying to get the bubble in the middle. Okay, so that's plumb there, and then on this one, we're trying to achieve the same thing. So there. Now we got actually go a little bit further, so perfect. That's good. So now we're plumb on both of these. Now we're gonna just compact this a little bit. Throw some more stuff in. Since we're close enough, probably just gonna push the rest of the material in with the excavator, and then we'll just fine tune it again after that. Okay, so normally if this were just like loose dirt, compaction would be extremely important, like what I'm doing right now, around the post as you build up layers of dirt around it to hold it in place. However, rock is the most compacted material in the ground that I know of, that we ever deal with. So there's very little compacting to do when most of what's in here is rock. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to, after we get this thing leveled up, I'm just trying to compact as much as I can to steady this as we continue filling. So the dirt around here is really interesting. Geographical layers in the ground changes. Literally, sometimes from 100 feet away, it's drastically different than to 100 feet from there. So, wanted to point out what's going on here. It's very clear. Here we have about a foot of topsoil. That's what this really dark stuff is. And then about a foot down, we have this right down here, which is just clay. It is just solid clay. It's muck. What's really interesting, when we dug the first hole back there, it was rocky the whole way down. Here, we literally got past the topsoil layer, and it's just solid clay. There's almost no rocks at all. So, just really interesting. The clay has been extremely difficult, as I mentioned before, because just as I dig it up and it gets on the surface, it just turns to mud, and you sink in it. It's awful. And the rocks are also awful, because as you're trying to dig, they make literally hand digging impossible. But at least you get good rocks at it to use for things like this, like for drainage and things like that. So this is our third hole. I just want to show even more differences in the ground. So this is a mix of clay and topsoil. That's because I had previously filled this area to kind of grade it out. But basically this is topsoil. Look at this. This is sand. That's so weird, because I haven't really seen a whole lot of sand here at all. Not like this, at least. That is straight up sand, like big grains of sand, little rocks. And then down below, right here, you can see where it turns to clay. I just find this stuff so interesting. It changes like 20 feet from there to there to there. And there's almost no rocks over here, while 24 feet over there was just riddled with rocks. Just interesting stuff. So we have a little bit of a water problem in one of the holes for the fencing posts. You can see the water is permeating through the topsoil and the sand layer, but as soon as it gets to the clay, which is impermeable, it just sits on top of the clay layer. So as we dug down, there happens to be water here, and it's just coming right into our hole. We left it overnight, and the hole filled up all the way to the top, so there's some pressure too. So we're not really sure what to do about this. We have our layout, and we have to put a post here. So we're going to accept the fact that our post might be submerged in water, and that we might have to replace it sooner than later. And what we're going to do is we're going to dig extra deep, so as the water's coming in, which is probably at a rate of like a gallon per minute, maybe a little bit faster, we're going to just start throwing, that's why we got all this rock here. We're going to start throwing rock in there so we can let the water stay below while we're working. And once we get up to the depth that we want to put our pole in, we're going to put the pole on top of the rock, and then we're going to start building up rock around create a concrete form like we did with the other ones, but we're just going to do that in stages and keep going up higher and higher with it and just put more and more concrete in here in hopes that that will help make this thing last a little bit longer, hold it stronger, and not really give it protection, but hopefully make it more monolithic from below all the way up to a point where there is no water, so we kind of like use the concrete extending the pole going down. And you know, it would probably be good, I didn't even think about this till just now, we should probably put some galvanized nails in the side of the post down there to grip into the, and we pour the concrete around that to grip onto the, to connect, better connect the post with the concrete. So we'll do that as well. We could only buy the 72-inch wide roll in 100 feet, and we needed like 125 feet or something. So we could only get 36 inches in a 50-foot roll. So